Welcome. Today, we're diving into a pretty powerful idea. What if the key to success and fulfillment isn't about chasing more, but about tapping into what's already here? We're going to look at a framework for shifting from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance, a concept known as conscious supply. Let's get right into it. You know this feeling, right? That constant hustle, the sense that you're always chasing something, whether it's money or opportunities or even just time, and there just never seems to be enough. It's that deep, nagging feeling of lack. But what if there's a completely different way to look at it all? And this is the huge shift we're talking about, right here. On one side, you've got the scarcity mindset, this belief that everything is lacking, which forces you to constantly look for solutions out there. But on the other side, supply consciousness. This is a sense of inner abundance that allows things to unfold naturally. It's a massive move from an outside-in approach to an inside-out one. Okay, so that's the goal. But how do we actually make that shift happen? Well, it starts with the first of three pillars, the abundant field. And this is all about fundamentally changing the very lens through which you see the world. So instead of seeing supply as some limited resource that you have to go out and fight for, this pillar asks you to see it as an ever-present field, almost like an atmosphere of potential that you're already living in. The goal isn't to go get it, it's to learn how to draw from it. And that right there brings us to a crucial shift, moving from acquisition to attunement. Think of it like tuning a radio. The music is already in the air all around you. You just need to find the right frequency to hear it. That's the whole essence of the field of supply. All right, so how do you actually attune to this field? There are two simple but really powerful practices. First, a daily supply recognition pause. This is just taking a moment to notice the abundance that's already here. The air you're breathing, a creative idea, a simple act of kindness. Second, using gratitude not just as a polite thing to do, but as a powerful tool for tuning in. So once you start changing your perception of the world around you, the very next step is to manage your internal world. And this brings us right to pillar 2, inner state first, which is all about finding your alignment before you see any change on the outside. Now, this is a total game changer. Most of us are taught to push, to strive, to force things to happen. This pillar suggests the exact opposite. The real work is to stabilize your inner state, your emotions, your sense of peace. When you can do that, reality itself can actually begin to reorganize around you. So, what do we even mean by inner alignment? It's not just about positive thinking. It's more of a feeling tone, that deep, quiet sense of trust and just being centered. When you can cultivate that feeling, you create the conditions for things to shift on the outside, but without all the usual force and stress. When you boil it all down, the emotional journey of this second pillar is about making a very conscious decision to move from a state of anxiety and strain into a state of deep trust. So how do you cultivate this trust? Well, the framework offers 3 practical things to try. A simple return to center breath whenever you feel stressed, a release control ritual, maybe writing down your worries and then symbolically letting them go, and trust training, where you actively look for evidence that things are working out, which helps build that muscle of faith over time. And that brings us to our third and final pillar, thoughts. So if pillar 1 is about changing our perception and pillar 2 is about our feelings, then pillar 3 is all about the active, disciplined use of our mind. It's about treating our thoughts with real intention. This is a really profound insight. We tend to dismiss our thoughts as just private, meaningless chatter, right? But this framework says they're actually creative instructions being sent out into that field of supply we talked about earlier. They are actively shaping your reality, whether you're conscious of it or not. So right thinking isn't about never having a negative thought. Let's be clear. It's the conscious practice of catching those reactive, habitual thought loops and replacing them. It's about looking at a situation and actively choosing a more empowering interpretation of what's going on. The practices for this pillar are really direct. First, a thought audit to become aware of your default mental patterns. Second, actively choosing the higher interpretation when you're faced with a challenge. And third, mental rehearsal, where you vividly imagine and feel the reality you want to experience, essentially paving the way for it. So we have these 3 powerful pillars. But how do they all work together? They form one cohesive practice for living in a state of conscious supply. This isn't about 3 separate ideas, but a single integrated system.
It all comes together just like this. You start by changing your perception, recognizing that supply is an ever present field. Then you manage your feeling state, knowing that your inner alignment is what reorganizes your outer reality. And finally, you direct your thoughts, using them as creative instructions. It's your perception, feeling, and thought, all working in harmony.
And that really leaves us with a final question to ponder. What could truly change in your life, your work, your well being if you shifted your focus away from chasing and getting and instead put that energy towards simply aligning with the supply that is already here?